Mac, it's only 4 days till my Halloween party. Oh, yeah, and the place is abuzz. We're talking night court. Hit it. It was 1984. Purple Rain was released. Truman Capote passed away. O.J. Simpson starred in a rental car commercial, and Judge Harry Stone fell for a real live witch. I'm your host, Jerry D, with another episode of Totally Rad Christmas, or Halloween, the podcast that talks all things Halloween in the 80s. Toys, movies, specials, music, and fads. If it was gnarly during Halloween in the 80s, we got it covered. Now, joining me are two Totally Rad Christmas All-Stars and Ratty winners. You'll know them as the hosts of the Christmas Time in the City podcast, Kris and Kris. Guys, how's it going?
Hey, good
Hi,
to
Jerry.
be here.
Yeah, thanks for coming on. Long time no talk, too.
Yeah, happy Halloween month. That's pretty wonderful, right? Start of the holidays. Loving
Closer to
it.
Christmas. Bah humbug for Halloween.
You know what? I am ready for Christmas. Like straight up.
Yeah.
I need that joy. This has been a long year and it's gone by super fast, but it's just felt so long at the same time.
Yeah, there was definitely a couple of years within this year. Yeah,
that's right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I'm ready for the cool weather. Let's get the peppermint stuff out, and I mean, let's just have fun.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, but Halloween. So I liked Halloween growing up. It was probably my second favorite holiday, but I kind of grew out of it as we got older. This episode, though, I mean, the love that Harry has, the judge has for Halloween, it is kind of infectious a little bit. So, I mean, I kind of actually started getting a little bit more into it.
Oh, nice. Yeah. And in the past, in all the seasons, I think that Halloween's always been a big deal on Night Court. Yeah, we're Night Court fans. Nice. So we've seen all of them. And yeah, it's definitely a repeating theme there that Halloween's a big deal there.
Nice. It reminds me of Brooklyn Nine-Nine with the Halloween heist. Those
are
those are my favorites.
Those are really good episodes.
So you mentioned that you're Night Court fans. What's your history or experience with Night Court?
When we first moved to New York City 11 or 12 years ago, whatever it was, we didn't really have a whole lot to do. And so we just binged watched television shows. And the first one we started with was Night Court. So we watched all 10 seasons of Night Court. Then we switched over to Cheers, and now we're working on Frasier. So we're making our way through it. And I have a feeling that it's all a connected universe, but I can get into it later. I have a pretty solid theory that there's like a one strain, because Harry is like the through line, I think.
Yeah, but he was like Harry the Hat or something, wasn't he?
Yeah,
he was like a magician. Like,
Mm-hmm.
and Boston is very close to New York City, close enough that a judge could easily go there for the weekend just to kind of mess around and then go back to work.
Well, especially a judge as wacky and quirky as Harry Stone was. I mean, makes sense. I'd buy it for sure. That's cool. I know what you mean. When I first moved up here to the DFW area, I didn't really have much furniture because, I had to come quickly to start my new job. So I just kind of brought like the essentials and my computer, and I ended up being like laid off after a month because they lost their biggest client. And so all of a sudden it was like, well, all the new guys that we hired got to go.
Oh my gosh.
So there I was, and I did the same thing. It was like, I didn't know anybody. I was all by myself in a new place. So what am I going to do? Well, I'll just watch a whole bunch of movies. And so I ended up just watching tons of shows and movies as well. So that like totally resonates with me for sure. But Night Court was one that I remember watching growing up. Like, just I loved Bull. Bull was like my favorite because I didn't get all the jokes, of course. I mean, John Larroquette's character, Dan Fielding. I mean, I knew he was funny, because the grown-ups were laughing. I didn't quite get why he was funny all the time. But exactly. Bull was like totally at my level.
Yeah, he's a character in himself. You know, he doesn't need to have lines. He could just stand there and he's funny.
His facial expressions, yeah. And it wasn't until later that I found out that he was like that evil wizard in like The Sword and the Sorcerer. He's like some wizard that's resurrected, and I mean, it's like a weird movie. But you know, it's one of those 80s sword and sorcery movies that are like so terrible that they're awesome.
Yeah.
And so he was like the evil wizard there, and I remember just being like terrified of him when I saw it. And then later on, you know, decades later, I think it was actually only like 5 years ago or so that I actually found out it was him, and I was like, "What? Are you serious?" And now that like every time I see him, that's all I can see is Bull, and I just keep expecting, you know, whenever I watch that film, just to see the sorcerer just, you know, stick his hand to his head, you know, and just be like,
okay.
That's so great.
Oh man, Bull was awesome. I love his name too. Like I also found out his full name was like Aristotle Nostradamus Shannon or whatever it is.
Yeah.
And
oh gosh.
I mean,
that's beautiful.
It totally doesn't fit at all.
It doesn't, but it's so perfect.
But it totally does
right?
at the same time. Yeah. That's exactly right.
Yeah, I loved Night Court. I when I was growing up, I loved watching it too. It was I had a TV in my room growing up because my family loved
it. Wow, sorry. I know.
It's me. I had a TV.
Someone comes for money. No.
I mean, it was like one of those little ones with a VCR that was in it. Or I had a Betamax before that too. So.
Betamax, that's so cool.
Yeah, so those were really fun. But yeah, I loved Night Court. I would watch it. No one knew that I was watching TV in my room at night. I'd be watching Night Court. I don't know why, but I loved it when I was little. It just like you said, the jokes didn't really resonate as much, but there was just something about, and probably Harry too. You know, he was silly and fun, and as a kid, you just probably maybe connected with him a little bit too.
Yeah, I mean, he was charismatic, you know, so like you had to watch him. And of course, and while I didn't quite get like, you know, sexual tension at the time, I did feel like there was always something between him and Marky Post, and I couldn't put it into words. I was just like, I just wanted them to get together, you know?
Right.
Even as a kid, I wanted them to get together because I was still a sucker for a good happy ending.
Yeah.
But I think mostly I just liked it because all sorts of craziness happens, and they have some legit, like awesome Christmas episodes too.
Yes, they do.
Which I'm excited to cover later on. Hopefully you guys will come back for those.
Yeah, I would love to. I think we were just talking about one earlier tonight.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're right. He was fun to watch. He kind of kept things lively. I kind of hope that, I mean, God forbid I'm ever in court, but if I am, I kind of hope I get a judge like him.
Right.
You know, at least it'll be fun. Maybe, I don't know.
Yeah, you might have a good time before you go to jail. You know.
Well, I hope not. But
yeah, right.
For real. But you know, he definitely made something about court seem better than I think it actually would be if I was ever there. Yeah. So I don't mind Harry at all.
Yeah.
But you're right. Yeah, he played the magician Harry on Cheers. I remember some of these characters from other things, but not much. So later on, I know John Larroquette was in that movie Second Sight. I don't know if you remember that with Balky. Show.
Oh, I remember the VHS. I don't remember. I never saw the movie.
Yeah, it's not a good movie. But we used to watch it like all the time, you know, growing up. You know, one of those where it was like, oh, it's a movie. Let's sit and watch a movie. And I think you're just excited that it was an actual movie on.
Yeah.
But we would quote that. Marky Post, I don't really remember from a lot except for TV movies. I think she was on The Fall Guy before this. But, you know, afterwards she would do some TV movies. And that's kind of where I knew her, just because my mom would watch some of those like Lifetime and type movies, you know. But I don't really recall the others being in much else. I know Roz. I can't remember the Mayfield Marshall. No, I can't think of her name right now. Anyway, the actress who played the character Roz, she was actually in Caddyshack 2. And she was like the Jackie Mason's like foreman, essentially, like head construction worker guy. Yeah, so that was kind of cool. But other than that, I really don't remember them in anything else, you know, which is kind of a bummer.
Not me either.
They were like really good. Yeah.
Yeah, they were a great ensemble, I think is what it was. I think
you're right. Yeah.
they might not play as well on their own. I mean, no, they might. I don't know, but maybe it's just like the whole ensemble just made it better than what it could have been.
Yeah, I know what you mean. And I think part of the problem is like, especially when you're in a show as successful as this, you get like typecast.
Oh yeah,
right. And it's kind of hard to break out of that, except every once in a while. So like everybody knows Joey Tribbiani, and Matthew LeBlanc. No one really knows him from much else. I mean,
right.
I think he was in Lost in Space. That's
he was absolutely.
Oh, there you go.
That's about it.
Remember that. Yeah, I don't remember it being very good.
I think Matthew Perry did that the movie Fools Rush In with Salma Hayek, and then I don't really remember him in much else. Although I think he had another sitcom after that.
He did.
The Odd Couple.
That. The Odd Couple. Mm-hmm. That was they did this TV show. I think they added another one as well that we watched and did not do well. But we tend to follow him a little bit more than the others.
Yeah, I know what you mean. But like, except for like Jennifer Aniston and maybe Courtney Cox, none of them really did much after that. And I kind of feel that's what happened here with these guys. Like they're just so known for their roles that they couldn't really get much else. Like I think even John Larroquette was saying that he all of a sudden was just being offered role of like the sleazy lawyer here or the sleazy department store owner here. And I mean, it was all like just a carbon copy of his character, Dan Fielding.
Yeah.
Which again is kind of a shame because these guys are, they're actually quite funny and and they're actually good actors. I believe them in their roles. So I would have liked to have seen them do something else.
Yeah, I agree with that.
John Larroquette's in Stripes.
Yes.
Which is one of my favorites.
That's right.
I do love Stripes.
Yeah, Stripes is great. The first like 3/4 of Stripes is awesome, and then once they go on the mission with the RV, it's a really weird turn. It's almost like they just put the second movie on attached to the first movie.
Exactly. Yeah, it could have ended on like basic training could have just been it, and then they graduate, and that's like the big thing, Like you're not sure if they're gonna make it, and then they do. That could have been one movie. You're right, and then they just kind of pair this other one on. But it's a great movie. I mean, Bill Murray and Harold Ramis can't go wrong with him.
No, it couldn't get any better than that movie, I feel.
I agree.
I saw John Larroquette in a Broadway play, How to Succeed in Business Without Really Trying. So that was quite amazing. It was he was with now I can't remember who he played with. It was another big actor, but I was really excited to see John Larroquette because I was just like, ooh, Night Court. It was really good. He did really great.
Nice. Here's a dumb question because I'm just from Texas and I've never been to New York. So when you say on Broadway, like is there an actual like street of Broadway, or is it just like several theaters and they're all just there and you just pick one, or is there like one main one, or how? Okay, I got
exactly what you said the first time. Yeah, so there's Broadway, which is the main street that goes through Times Square, and then all on along like the little side streets around that area are all theaters, and so when that's on Broadway, and then we have off Broadway as well, which are maybe some more of the smaller theaters outside of that area. So they could be in other parts of Manhattan. Kris, you had more.
Also, there's a seating capacity stipulation that comes along with being a Broadway show. I think it's like 800 seats or something. If it's above 800 seats and it's a Broadway show, regardless, because some theaters aren't on Broadway; they're adjacent to or a few blocks away. So that's one of the definers is it has to be a larger sized theater.
Oh, cool. Good to know. Yeah,
there you go.
Because I've always wondered, but never enough to actually research. So.
Yeah, Broadway runs up basically the whole length of Manhattan on the west side of Central Park, but it runs the whole way up.
That's why you guys are the raddest New Yorkers. You hear that, Anthony?
Yeah.
Yes, I did.
Oh man, well that's cool. I wouldn't mind seeing some of these guys on Broadway. Although unfortunately, most of them a lot of them have passed away at this point. One thing that and we'll get into the plot in a little bit, but one thing that I didn't remember was Flo. Like I had completely forgotten about this character.
Yeah, we did too. As soon as she came out, we're like, oh, this is before Roz.
Before Roz, yeah, she didn't come until season 4. I mean, and same thing with like Marky Post's character, Christine Sullivan. She actually didn't come into what was it, season 3 was like official, but she kind of came out in season 2 a bit.
Right.
And I didn't remember that at all. Like there was 4 different public defenders before like she was at finally
the one, right?
The one, yeah, exactly, yeah, the chosen one or whatever,
right?
I guess, but so that was just strange to me seeing this one. I was expecting Roz, like, where is she? And I was disappointed, but it's okay.
I like Roz too. I was like, "Ooh, I'm going to listen to some lines from Roz," and and then Flo came on. I was like, "Oh no, I totally forgot that there was someone before her."
It seemed very much like Flo and Roz's lines could have been interchangeable.
Absolutely,
because Flo had some zingers during the episode.
She sure
so I feel,
she sure did, yeah.
That character just kept going on, but just a different body.
Yeah, well, and Flo herself was actually a replacement. So she had replaced the first bailiff who was in the first 2 seasons. It was someone else. I think Selma. I think it was her name. Something like that.
I don't even
remember that one either.
Yeah, wow. And then she passed away from cancer, so they brought Flo in to replace her, and then Flo passed away from cancer.
It's a dangerous job.
Don't want to do that role.
Don't be a night court bailiff. But then Roz seemed to have made it. So and she's outlived both of them. I think one passed away at the age of 63 and the other at 64. And so Roz is at least 65 right now. So there's that.
Oh,
so
excellent.
So good for her.
Long live Roz.
Happy to hear that.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, for sure. But I guess we can just go ahead and jump into the episode.
Yeah, let's do it.
This is a strange one. It kind of starts off with Harry. He's so excited for his Halloween party that so much so that he even orders like body parts and frog, was it tongues and things like that, and but I love how he like calls all like the main cast into his chambers, and he's like, hey, by the way, no dressing up as the moral majority or something like that. Like, I want real costumes here, guys.
I know he it's funny because he threatens their parking space, which is a huge deal in New York City. And I fought for maybe 2 years, maybe even 3 years at my job to get a parking space. So
wow.
Because it's really difficult to find parking in New York City. So I totally get it. If that was threatened to me at my job, I would be there in the best costume. Do not take away my parking
Or a Smurf
space.
costume.
Or a Smurf. Whatever is available, I'll take it.
Which is the running gag. Yeah. The running gag that he waits till the last minute to get a costume because he wasn't going to dress up. Right. That all that's really left that's inexpensive is a Smurf, and I love how he doesn't know what Smurfs are.
I know. I thought that was kind of strange, but I guess it wasn't really as. I don't know. Smurfs were a big deal in the 80s, so I don't see why you wouldn't know, but I see why Dan wouldn't know. Out of everyone there, I see why Dan wouldn't.
For real, yeah. Dan, it makes sense why Dan would, the lecherous, kind of just attorney. But for sure, I mean, I had a Smurf party when I was like 2 or 3. So, I mean, to me, Smurfs were like just amazing.
Yeah.
So I think Dan missed out. Yeah, poor Dan.
That would have been a good costume. And for $20, are you kidding me? That would have been great.
Right? I wish I could find a costume for $20 nowadays.
For real.
Even if it's Smurfs. Oh, man. So that's like, one subplot going on. There's always like the main, a lot of these sitcoms have like 3 or 4 subplots that are kind of going on. And that's like the through line that through this whole thing. But Harry meets this mysterious girl, this beautiful woman, and immediately he's like, yowza. And
like literally.
He's
like, I feel like his eyes like popped out of his head. It's like, calm down, Harry. You're at work.
For real. And what does he say? Something like let's forget the small talk. Like, what it'll take to get you to fall like madly in love with me, or something like that. Like,
that's exactly what he says.
Like pump the brakes there, little good guy.
She's just someone trying to find traffic court, and you're just like straight up hitting on her. It's like, calm down, man. You're a judge.
But she's kind of into it too.
She's very into it.
As soon as she says Tahiti, she's like, all right, let's go.
Yeah, you could tell they vibed from the get-go right away.
Yeah. But I mean, like if if you weren't married, or I guess if you weren't married and some guy did that to you, I mean, wouldn't you be a little creeped out by that?
I would be 100% creeped out. I would slowly back out of his office and like run somewhere else and say, I think someone is like took over that judge's office. I think there's a crazy person in that office.
For real, right? And what about you, Kris? I mean, I would be, as even if a girl did that to me today, I'd be like, what? I don't know, lady.
It's so bizarre. The whole situation is so weird.
It is weird.
Her like poking into his office while he's counting snakes or whatever it was.
Yeah.
In the first place is bizarre. Like he's not a professional judge. We can be honest. It's not a professional judge at all.
No.
So he's
he has night court for a reason, right?
Yeah. They have him on the late shift for a good reason, I guess.
You have to be a little quirky, to be on the late shift.
Right.
Yeah. Which, by the way, again, something else I didn't remember, but apparently he only got the job because essentially he was at home and answered the phone call from the outgoing mayor. So it was like the mayor's last day in office. He was just calling judges to try to make some appointments. And apparently Harry picked up the phone and said yes. So he was a judge at 34 because he was home.
There you go.
I love it. Right place, right time.
Yeah. So, I mean, that checks out. I mean, that totally checks out. But yeah, so he meets this girl, they go out, and then all of a sudden it's like a hard cut to a few days later, and they like are skating into court together, and they're, coochie cooing each other. I mean, it's weird.
It's very weird. There are people in the courtroom waiting to be arraigned, and they're just roller skating, kissing. It's just like people are waiting for you, like they're sitting at their desks waiting to start.
You know what though? Crazy. I don't know. I think I wouldn't mind like if my judge roller skated in and he's like being all lovey-dovey, because that means he'd be in a good mood. I might actually get off a little bit lighter.
That's a good call. Yeah, that's probably a good sign.
Yeah, I don't know. But either way, I do like the joke that Dan makes, because they're waiting and he's talking to Christine and she's like, where are they? He's like, they've been, or she says something like, are they inseparable? He's like, yeah, they're everything except they haven't sewn their bodies together. And so then they roller skating. He's like, I was wrong. They've sewn their bodies together.
That was really funny. He's got some good singers in this episode too.
I like John Larroquette's character, man.
Me too.
He won an Emmy from 4 years in a row from 85 to 89. Wow. Or 85 to 88, I guess. And so much so that he actually had to like take his name out of the running. Like he called the Television Academy and was like, please stop nominating me for this.
Wow. That's so crazy.
Who does that? I'd be like, no, keep giving me awards. I like the attention, please.
Maybe he ran out of room on his shelf and he's just like, I just can't do this anymore. These awards are too big.
For real. Yeah. No, I think he was just one of those where he just he kind of want to end it on a high note.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, that I definitely get. I wouldn't want to be limping through shows and just trying my best to get it. But I mean, really, he kind of really was a scene stealer. Every time he was in a scene, I really dug John Larroquette's character.
Yeah, he's a really good actor. I mean, you could tell he also has, classic kind of theater acting skills. I don't know. There's just something about his acting skills that read a little bit more than some of the others. So his character plays really well.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I do like when he appeared on Parks and Recreation. He was like, so it was like one of the Valentine's Day or Galentine's Day episodes. And he, it's with,
I love Parks and Rec. I can't remember, right?
He's like the former love interest. It's in season 2, I think.
Of Leslie's mom?
Of Leslie's mom. That's right. Yeah.
I do remember.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so like Justin, it's when she's with Justin,
right.
Who's kind of like the tourist in everybody's lives. And so they like go track him down. They bring him over and Leslie's like, I don't know about this guy. And Justin's like, it'll be great. Let's bring him. And I love, he plays like that sad sack character so perfectly.
It's so good.
She's like, so
yeah, that was great.
He's like, well, I was a manager at a store and then I went to jail or something like that. And here I am 30 years later. It's like kind of skipped over a section there, guy. So he makes that joke. They're together. She leaves. She's like, by the way, I'm going to be late to your Halloween party. Okay, no big deal. And I like how it's like the next day they're getting ready for court and it's like Halloween day itself. And finally, we get the big reveal that the next case is someone lit a bonfire in a park and was dancing around, so it's like technically destroying public property. And one of the ladies had indecent exposure as well, which I don't know that much about Central Park, but from what I've seen in movies, that seems legit. Is that is that an accurate statement there?
I think maybe in the 80s, it was probably maybe more accessible to light a fire somewhere without someone noticing. I mean, they got arrested, so I'm assuming that they weren't out there for too long. But I could just imagine like lighting a fire in Central Park now, and how many people would be like on top of you about it. There's too many people around. But in the 80s, the park was a little bit different, and not necessarily everybody would be wanting to walk through the park at that day and age. So it's possible. I would say it's possible.
Gotcha. So he's ready. He's like, all right, let's see what it is. It's probably some Halloween prank. Turns out it's Kim, the girl that he's been in love with for however many days, 4 days or something.
4 days. 4 very long days, apparently, because he is in love.
Yeah, he's like head over heels for this girl already. So much so that later on he's like willing to throw away his career for her. Which that's like some hardcore love right there.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But he finds out it's her, and she's like, "I'm a witch."
Mm-hmm.
And which is fun, which is funny because like nowadays it's like, okay, so
that's what we kept saying. Like, this is so bizarre because now it's just Wiccan is an actual religion. It's not a big deal. It's just it would not play the same.
No,
it would be like,
come up with like a whole new thing.
Now you're dating a witch, so what's the problem?
Exactly. Yeah. All right. I guess so.
Yeah.
But it was so taboo in the show. Like, how your whole career is going to be ruined. It's just like
she was like a real witch though. Like she was like
magical.
She had like magic.
That's the crazy thing. She literally could do magic, like real magic. She makes like some fire out of her hand, and she makes, what was that, like a little
chandelier. Yeah. appear out of his sleeve. Like, what is that? That's a weird trick.
That was weird.
And he didn't really like care too much. Like he kind of just like fluffed it off. And he's like, "So you really think that you're a witch? Like, she just made a chandelier appear in your hand."
Yeah. How is Bull the smartest one out of that situation? Because as soon as she did a trick towards him, he was like, "Okay," and like he realized, away, my gosh, this girl,
something's up with this lady. Yeah.
Right. And Harry's just like, "Oh, I must be wearing my trick jacket." You do not have a jacket that has a chandelier.
Not a chandelier. Maybe
I don't know. He might have a chandelier jacket.
I don't.
That's true. I mean, I get like the handkerchiefs that are tied together, that, or the bouquet that you pull out or whatever. But yeah, a chandelier is just an odd choice.
Yeah.
Which it was funny because as I was watching the scene, because I watched the episode a couple of times, and each time as I was watching it, I just kept thinking, like, what are these actors thinking as they're playing this scene here? Like, are they just thinking this is the most ridiculous thing ever? I mean, because they kept a straight face. I don't know how they kept a straight face. I don't think I could have done it. Like, if they paid me thousands, I really don't think I could have kept a straight face here. It was just ridiculous.
Yeah, it was really bizarre.
Yeah.
It took a very strange turn for sure in the episode.
So apparently in the world of Night Court, and I guess as well, Cheers and Frasier, apparently magic exists. It's a real thing. There really are witches. So hopefully there's no hex and with the Scarlet Witch anywhere. So
there you go.
Yeah, I think as far as Cheers goes, there's a case to be made that Lilith might be a witch as well. That's another episode.
I think you're right. Yeah.
That's good.
I feel like what's his name, Charlie Day on It's Always Sunny, in that meme where he's just trying to connect the dots. Yeah, it was just a strange turn, and he's just like, okay, so you're a witch, and what are we gonna do? And I mean, it's just a weird. So Marky post, and you mentioned this earlier, Kris, she's like so dramatic about it, like, this is your career, it's on the line. I mean, you got to decide, it's either her or like your whole life. And it's
so
bizarre. I couldn't wrap my head around it. I didn't get it. I didn't get it at all.
Yeah, and she said it almost as if this is a scenario that has been spoken about before, or like this is something that's happened before.
That's happened before,
you know,
yeah.
like you're
like all those other judges,
a witch, right? Like remember this judge who dated this witch and now his life is ruined. Like, how do you know why does this rule exist? What is this?
But I also like how she tries to play it off. She's like, it's not like in the old days. There's no cauldrons and broomsticks,
right?
Yeah, there's no cauldron. You guys were in the middle of a park with an open fire, and the mom from the Goonies was dancing around naked. Apparently.
Oh man, when I saw her, I was like, yes.
That was a really good scene.
It doesn't get like any more 80s
no
than like Mama Fratelli or
there you go.
Or she was at the other homeless the woman from the shelter in Scrooged.
Yeah,
as well.
She was on Throw Mama from the Train,
and she was Throw Mama from the Train. That's right. And I didn't realize she passed away in like 88 or 89.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I didn't realize it was that early. I could have sworn it was in the 90s, but
right.
No.
Well, quite a career, you know. She's living on for sure.
Are you kidding? The Goonies and Scrooged by themselves. Yeah. I'd be
amazing.
Like I'd brag about that all the time. It's like, well, you know, when I was Mama Fratelli.
Right. The scene between when they were in the courtroom, I really liked their interaction between her and Dan. You know, I'm just like, are you interested?
Oh, yeah.
And he's just like, over my dead body. And she's like, so should I stay around 8?
Yeah.
Something like that. It's so good. That was pretty funny. Yeah.
Yeah. And I like how Dan, he didn't quite like shudder or anything. He just kind of, it was almost like he was thinking about it.
I know, that's what I
was ready for him
too.
to say, yeah. I was
Me
ready
too,
for it.
yeah.
Yeah. I was kind of thinking she would show up at the Halloween party, to be honest. I thought he would come with her.
That would have been like the best ending ever.
Yeah. I thought it was going to be a comeback later.
Also, while all this is happening, there's like another through line of this like sleazy reporter coming in.
Oh, yeah.
Who's like trying to get his scoop for a deadline, which I mean, it's like so 80s the way they played it off.
80s.
It's that doesn't happen anymore.
No.
I mean, well, there's no real newspapers much anymore.
Yeah, or barely reporters.
Exactly. Yeah, there's barely any journalists. But it's just it was funny how he was just like trying to get the scoop on everything.
He was from the line with Dan from the Globe. He hands him his card and says, you know, I'm so and so from the Globe, and Dan's like, well, I'm Dan from the same location or from the same place.
I love Dan. Yeah, same thing. He's got those quips. But I like how the guy's card, he's like, you know, just give me a call if you see like any mass murderers or whatever. And he's like 1-800-cadaver.
Yeah, so crazy.
What does he say? Someone's always on the line or something like that.
Yeah.
Lines are always open. Something.
He was a strange character.
He had unprecedented access to the entire courthouse.
Wow, yeah.
Sure did.
So much so that like Harry was downstairs in the holding area talking to her, and Bull comes in. He says, "Oh, there's a reporter coming," and he just waits for the reporter, and then the reporter opens the door and walks in. While Bull, who's more or less like security, he's a bailiff.
Yeah.
There's another security guard there. They just watch the
reporter
walk in. Yeah. And then the reporter ends up walking in through the back door into Harry's office.
Yeah. Yeah,
what is this guy doing?
I don't know, but now I'm like super curious about that back door. Like, where does that go?
Yeah. Why do you have access? Why are you walking around? I don't understand that.
In case Harry has to break anyone else out of prison, he can go down there and just get whoever he wants out of holding and bring them up to his office with a paper bag over their head.
I guess so.
Yeah, you know, as long as you got a paper bag and you're in love with them, it's okay to break him out of the detention center.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like how he goes to visit her, and they're there in the jail cell and they're talking. But before that, I like how as he's walking down, some of the people I don't know if they were prostitutes or you know, just whatever, but they were like, you know, hey, trick or treat, Your Honor. And
oh, I love it. He just has a pocket full of candy ready.
Yeah, he just gives them some candy.
That's so good.
All right, let's do it. I'm down for this guy.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like he was expecting that. He's like, well, I'm going down there, so let me bring some candy.
You know, in the past, they've asked me, they've said trick or treat before. I guess I better have something, you know?
Yeah. He's all about Halloween, you know, you've got to celebrate no matter where you are.
Exactly. Yeah. So he's like talking to her through the bars, and the other girl like butts in, Mama Fratelli kind of butts in. And she's like, did you see what I did to Pia Zadora? And there's a lot of, I mean, this, they date themselves very much with all their references, which is okay. I don't mind. I still like Seinfeld, even though they date themselves as well,
because at the time it's a lot of pop culture. So whatever is happening during the time, they're going to make that known. And all these shows are very pop culture-ish during their time, at least.
Yeah. So the girl, what did she say? Something like, who do you want turned into a toadstool or something like, or do you want me to turn him into a toadstool? Yeah. And of course she's Kim's like, you're not helping. And anyway, so they hear the reporters coming. So they grab a bag. I don't know where they got the bag, but they got the bag and just like put it over her head. And he makes a joke about she's a bag lady. And they go up to their chambers where they have this deep conversation. And that's where she does all the crazy magic. And I just like how, as they're getting into it, they're like, don't, I wouldn't want you. It's my life. Don't give up your life. I wouldn't want you to ask me to give up your life, and all sorts of things like that. And I like how Harry's like, no, I would never ask you to give up your life. I lied. No, please give up your life. It's like, dang, this guy is like deep in love. Yeah. He really is into this girl.
After 4 days, remember?
Well, they did bowl 12 games in a row. So, I mean, I guess
there you go.
You learn a lot about someone after bowling 12 games in a row.
Apparently, yeah. Except that they're a witch.
Yeah.
Right.
So if he had bowled 13, he probably would have found that out.
Maybe that's why she had to stop.
Yeah. Exactly. She's like, oh man, one more and I got to give my big secret.
It's the 13th frame bowling clause that all witches sign.
Yeah. Rules are rules,
Yeah. It's in your coven contract. But yeah, so they're like really getting into it and getting super emotional. And then that's when, as they're hugging, the reporter somehow just bursts in. And he's like, hey, again. What's going on here? It's just this guy.
Why does he think that that's where the actions happen? Like, why is he following Harry around and even thinking that? Because there's a lot of stuff going on in that courtroom. Even there's people walking in and out. You can even see him behind everyone, like the background actors and stuff. So it's obviously things happening. Yeah. What's so impressive about Harry that he's like following him around? I would think he'd be more interested in, why are you taking a person out with a bag over their head? Like, why wouldn't he pay attention to that?
Yeah, who cares? I mean, his big thing is strange. Like his big thing, like he even says, is a judge and a witch and a Kaiser roll. Let's see what's going on here. What? What are you talking about, guy? None of this, like, the judge is taking a prisoner out of the holding, center.
Right, right.
Yeah, that's
his priorities
weird.
Are a little off.
Yeah,
I mean, maybe he works for it because it's the Globe. Maybe that's more of like
like a Weekly World News or the Inquirer or something like that.
Yeah, so maybe he's trying to find those kind of weird stories, like witch from New York City, something like that. So maybe that's what he's looking for. That it would make a little bit more sense, I guess.
He was looking for the Bat Boy.
Yeah. Yes, exactly.
my great grandma, I love her so much, but she always had like a Weekly World News or something, and there was always that Bat Boy picture. It was always the same picture too. Was like every other week on one of those.
He's like looking upward, like to the side, and it's like.
That's it. Yep, that's the one. And so I don't know. Maybe he thought, "Ooh, a witch. She'll be good publicity," but it's still, I still don't get what the big deal is about it. Unless this is maybe she does magic. Maybe this is a world where people really believe in witchcraft and wizardry.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, it's possible. They all seem to be pretty casual about it, so I think it just exists there.
Yeah, I guess so. And shame on Harry for not knowing or something. I don't know.
Right.
But, yeah, it's crazy. But so they immediately make up a lie, about their hug. Like, oh no, I was doing the Heimlich maneuver, and of course Bull walks in as well. And by the way, I know I forgot this. I wanted to mention it, but there's another little plot about Bull trying to carve some pumpkins, but not being able to, and. He and Marky Post have like a whole thing earlier about he's been hiding. He can't wait to dye the pumpkins, and she's like, "Well, that's for Easter eggs." He's like, "Exclusively," and He's like, oh, I've been hiding them too. So I don't know where you could hide a pumpkin in like a municipal building, but I'm like super curious now. And
I mean, maybe maybe those little ones, maybe he had a bunch of little gourds. I don't know.
Like, I kind of want to go hunting for pumpkins now.
Well, he's pretty tall. Maybe he can put him up in like the rafters or like
That's true,
lift up the light things and put them in the air.
Yeah.
Just be rotting pumpkins everywhere.
Oh man, that doesn't sound good at all. But
I do kind of like the idea of dying pumpkins. I'm not gonna lie. I did think like, can you do that?
It seems like such a mess. Like it would be like an absolute mess.
Yeah,
I guess, but I would love to have some purple pumpkins around or something.
It's funny though, because now at the stores you see pumpkins. I mean, of course they're like the fake ones, but you see them of like different colors as well.
Yeah.
So like you go to Target or something and they'll have like a light blue one and like a black one, and also they have different colors. So maybe someone watched Night Court and was like, dying pumpkins, that's it.
Yeah.
There you go. Business idea.
$1 million idea right there. Yeah. Or maybe $1,000 idea right there.
There you
go. Several $100 idea.
That's right. Yeah. So anyway, there was that little plot, but I like how so they immediately try to play it off, and the guy's like, all right, hey, if I don't get the facts, I'm just going to make something up, is basically what he's saying.
Yep.
And so the witch, Kim, is like, okay, I'll tell you everything. And she makes up a story about how they knew each other in second grade, and he didn't bring his lunch money one time and she lent him some. And so now he's returning the favor by giving her free legal advice, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And you can see the heartbreak. And they're just kind of staring. And I like how, as a reporter, like he's just crestfallen at this point. Like his story is gone, his big scoop. But I like how they're just kind of staring longingly at each other. He just kind of does that motion with his hand up and down to try to break their stare. He's trying to figure out what's going on. And that's when they kind of like lead him out of the door, saying something about someone in the holding center that believes he's Joan Crawford.
Yeah. And then Bull says, was it, don't ask her about the book. So I'm assuming they mean Mommy Dearest.
Yeah, that was my assumption as well. Yeah.
Which I thought that was good too. Again, dating it, but also, still pretty classic.
Yeah. So, they part and he's sad. And then we get to the party. And that's where I guess was Bull a kangaroo? I don't know what he was. I mean,
yes. I thought he was a bear. He was a kangaroo.
No, he was a big kangaroo. He had like a giant head, and
but he had like a bonnet, right?
He had a big tail as well that was stuck through the chair.
Oh, the tail. That's why it's a kangaroo. Now I remember the tail. Okay.
Yeah. So, but he had like a bonnet and like a shawl or something around.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure if that was like a character or just like a.
Yeah, I don't know.
Kangaroo. I thought for a while there, I thought maybe it was Kanga from Winnie the Pooh, but
oh yeah, I don't know. It didn't even seem like that. I'm not sure.
And Marky Post is a sexy witch,
which is so offensive. Can you imagine? After all Harry has gone through,
you gotta be kidding me.
Post dresses like a witch.
Yeah. Talk about insensitive. It's funny because
it's crazy.
I mean, you had to assume that was what she was going to be, but I mean, she didn't think twice of like, maybe I should be something else.
Yeah. Just like change the hat up. Like you can wear the dress, but maybe you're something else with that, like at least don't wear the hat and the nose. What are you doing?
The nose. Yeah. Maybe she was like secretly into Harry and was like, hey, maybe. Now that he's dated a witch, hey, I'm in.
Yeah. I'm a safe witch because nobody, I'm not a real witch. So your career is okay.
So your career, your life won't be over by dating a witch.
Apparently.
Although I think they wouldn't be able to actually like work together anymore, right? There's got to be some sort of conflict of interest there.
Which that rule makes more sense.
Exactly. Yeah.
But they still like hang out on other episodes. Like the whole core cast, they all have like dinner together in the cafeteria, and they all hang out and do stuff. I don't really know how that works out if the judges are allowed to interact on that level with the defenders and stuff.
Yeah,
I don't know either. But now that does make me wonder.
Well, I feel like in this night court, anything goes. The fact that he's allowed to even arraign the person he's dating is is also an issue. Like, why would she be sent to him? That's, I guess maybe he's the only judge at night.
I think he is just the only judge at night court.
But I imagine nowadays you wouldn't be allowed to be have a judge that is dating you.
Towards the end, after he kind of like showed his disappointment in the whole situation, he said that he was setting the case for another judge.
Oh yeah.
He does say that, right? Hold us for the next court or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Look at him doing his job, right? I take it back.
All right. Harry, you're a stand-up guy. Do we ever hear, like in the final episode, the season finale, does he ever decide what he's going to do? I know he was like thinking about teaching law at like being a professor.
Oh.
I don't remember how the series even ended, and I was thinking about it earlier. I was like, I don't know how. I think he just probably like disappeared or went away or something. I vaguely remember something like that happening. Like he left the court. I think. I could be wrong though.
Because I think Marky Post's character like runs for Congress or something. So I think she runs for office. I think Dan stays where he is. And I'm just, I don't remember at all. I didn't look, I probably should have researched this, but I don't remember what he decides. I think he was going off to be like something like that, or he had like a couple of different job offers. I don't remember, but
he was going to move. He's going to move to Boston to be a bar magician.
You know what? For him, I'd believe it.
Yeah,
I'd totally buy it. Oh man! So they're at the party. Harry comes in. He's Mel Torme. I like his little paper mask kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I like how Marky Post is like, hey, you got to get over her. Well, yeah, first of all, it's only been like, an hour, maybe a couple of hours tops. I mean,
like, why are you sad? It's like, hello, I just broke up with someone I really liked.
Yeah. I was like in love with this girl, and like I had to get rid of her. I had to, break up with her. And it's just funny that Marky Post is like, hey, come on, life goes on. And he says, oh yeah, that costume's really helping.
I'm really happy they pointed out that was like a reason, because if they just brushed over that or didn't even mention it, that would have been very odd. So I'm glad that there was a reason she was dressed like that. And I'm sure it was all for that joke, basically.
And I think it kind of supports my theory that she's into him. She's saying, hey, get over that girl. There's another witch right here. And then Flo comes in. She's like a biker, but she has like a throwaway line about, how long is this going to take? I got to go get a costume, or I got to go get changed for a costume party later or something like that.
I believe it.
And then, of course, we get Dan comes in, and the only outfit he could get is like Humpty Dumpty or something. He's like
he's just like a big old egg.
Just a big old egg. And then finally we cut to Quan Lee, who's Mac's wife, Mac being the court clerk. She's a spider, and I think they even ask like, why are you a spider? And then they bring up the nursery rhyme, and sure enough, Mac is a Little Miss Muffet.
And he looks not happy.
Yeah.
He was convinced to wear that, not his choice.
I have a feeling Charlie Robinson was not happy about it either in real life.
Probably. His reaction was very real.
He had great legs, for what it's worth.
Yeah, he rocked it.
Yep. I think he even makes a joke about nobody better touch my tuffet or something like that.
Oh yeah, we did laugh about that. That's funny.
That was a good one. Oh man, but that was the episode. So magic exists. It's dangerous to date a witch. And
it could ruin your career.
Yeah, it could ruin your career, and watch out for like scuzzy reporters.
Yeah.
I think that's like the basis, like the whole moral of this particular episode here.
Yeah. And don't hide your pumpkins.
And don't hide your pumpkins. Yeah, you're right. I mean, the only other thing I guess was when they finally do deliver that box of like scary Halloween stuff or whatever, and the guy opens it up and he pulls out like 2 pieces of a heart, and he's like, "Hey, your heart is broken."
It was actually kind of a sad
that
moment.
Actually kind of made me laugh a little bit. I feel embarrassed that I chuckled at that. Other than that, I mean, I liked it. It was a good episode. Was it like the best episode ever? No. But I think it was.
But it was still enjoyable.
It was enjoyable. Yeah. It was very confusing, but I liked it.
I mean, that's kind of Halloween anyway, right?
That's
it's supposed
true,
to be a little bizarre and strange, so it makes sense.
That's true. But it does make me wonder, what would y'all say would be your happiest memory or moment of Night Court in general, or this episode, specifically?
I can go first. The intro evokes so many memories for me from watching it when I was a little kid to when we were rewatching it as more or less just like brand new New Yorkers, or we had just moved to New York, and the idea of like that, like kind of fun atmosphere of New York, and people are dancing in the street and eating pizza and like it's having a great time. Like we ended up having a lot of nights that were very similar to that, without like going to court stuff. But
right.
And I'm sure, like, because it was from the early '80s that the New York City was not all that fun, probably, and it was probably a lot of gross stuff as well. But showcasing the fun part of New York and how people are kind of having a good time, I like that a lot. And even now, like the intro song is something that I really like hearing, because it just kind of reminds me of that and brings me back to that.
Yeah, that's cool. I mean, and the song, I mean, there's a lot of like slapping and popping on that bass, it's like real bass heavy. And then of course that soprano sax, Ernie Watts, I mean, it's like so such a great song. It's jazzy. It like fits perfectly. And it's definitely one of my favorite themes. I remember, and I'm sorry, Kris, to interrupt here, but I remember when I was like in 7th or 8th grade, I bought a maybe 9th grade, but I bought a CD, and it was just like a bunch of TV theme songs. And
nice.
this was one of them that was on it. And I mean, it was awesome. It was just great. My favorite at the time was the Gary Shandling Show, the theme song for that.
How does that one go? Do you remember?
Yeah, it was like really meta. It was like, this is the theme for Gary Show, the opening theme for
I remember
Gary
that
Show.
now, yeah.
It's something like Gary called me up and asked if I would write a theme song or something like that.
That's awesome.
But I remember this one being on and being like, oh yeah, and just feeling that feeling you're talking about, just kind of like, this is great. Life can't get any better than this, What about you, Kris?
I mean, besides just as a whole, just thinking about like what I was talking about earlier of watching this in my room without anyone knowing I was watching anything at night, and just it being kind of like my own private TV viewing thing, I think that meant a lot. But I love to piggyback off of what Kris said, because that theme song is everything. I mean, it was my ringtone for a while.
Nice.
Like it was cool. It's so good because it just made me so happy to hear it, and it does just have that feeling. And just what a great song! It's perfect.
Yeah, definitely agree. For me, I think it would be just watching it with my folks when I was little, not really knowing, but just laughing at Bull because he was awesome.
Yes.
Yeah, Bull's great.
Yeah,
so good.
Yeah, I don't know. He just he has that like perfect blend of dim-wittedness and like freak strength that makes kids laugh.
Yeah, and super lovable. He's like such a lovable character.
He did. He's like a big teddy bear. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So you gotta love Bull.
Yes.
But now we come to my favorite part of the show, which is a little segment I like to call Gag Me with the Spoon. So this is where we do our best impression of our least favorite part of the episode. As a guest, I'll let you go first. Just kind of set up the scene for us and take it away.
All right, I'm going to do mine. It is the scene with Mario, who is bringing in all of those props.
Oh yeah,
because I really loved him. I loved his very New York accent and the things that he had in the box. So he was reaching in the box and he said, "We got your legs, we got your arms, we got your assorted internal organs here." It was just amazing. That was right before the broken heart line. So I thought that was so good. Of just him like, we got this. And then it's like, oh, the broken heart. It was so perfect, the whole thing. So yeah, I love that first part where he's naming all the parts in the box.
Nice.
There you go. That's my New York accent.
It was good. I liked it. I almost spit out my teeth.
Yes.
What about you, Kris?
Mine is the scene where Mac is explaining to Quan Lee about what Halloween is.
Oh yeah,
and she decides to try it out on Marky Post.
Nice.
She tries to try out trick or treating, and she says, "Give me some." I'm not going to try to do an accent because one, I'm not good at accents, and two, not going to do it.
Yeah. Good call.
Yeah. But she says, "Give me some candy, or you'll never see your family again."
Yeah, that was a cringy line.
I loved it. It's so good.
It's like the ultimate trick or treat.
Yeah.
That's like death or treat. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or I guess it would be like the purge or treat. I don't know.
I'll take a treat, please.
Yeah. We'll do treat for sure.
Yeah.
So for me, I actually, I mean, there was a few lines I was like, I don't know about that. You could tell it was like definitely a product of its time, but
Yes.
Overall, I really enjoyed it. So the one that kind of got me, I guess, the most was when it's at the end, they're at the party. Harry's kind of down in the dumps. Dan walks in. He's got the big old egg costume. And he says, like, are you happy? And so Harry says, he's not such a bad egg after all. It's like, okay, all right.
Yeah.
But
yeah, that's right. Yeah. I'll be here all week. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was one of those lines. Okay. Yeah, definitely on the nose there, Harry.
Yeah, it's a Harry kind of line. I think he's
definitely
pretty big with the puns.
Yeah, he was. But, it does make me wonder. G.I. Joe taught us that knowing is half the battle. So what do you think the second half is?
I'm going to let Kris take this one for the both of us.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we
corresponded.
We talked about it beforehand.
We talk sometimes.
Only from separate rooms like this. We talk on Zoom in separate rooms.
And the baby's on your son's on the third.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's also on Zoom. Yeah, we have him on mute so he can't hear anything or else he'll wake up. But if he wakes up, we want to make sure he sees Mama and Papa. Anyway, I have. If you're planning on being arraigned in New York City after hours and the judge enters the courtroom on roller skates, maybe ask your attorney about getting your case reviewed by a different judge. For real. Yeah. Or maybe not. Maybe he'll be lenient. Who knows?
Or maybe not.
Yeah.
He'll have some like ridiculous sentence, like you have to go run 100 laps around the cafeteria or something.
Go do community service at the magic shop down the street.
Yeah.
Go deliver legs.
That's right. That's right. Yeah. That's pretty good. That's better than mine. Mine was if knowing's half the battle, the other half is just not waiting until Halloween night to get a costume.
Oh yeah, good call.
Yeah,
I think I need to take note of that.
We had not figured it out.
I haven't either.
It's so
although
bad.
I might not need to, because I don't think Todd's doing his Halloween party for us anymore. I think so. I might not need a costume. So
unfortunately, our lives exist outside of the podcast realm, and we have to go trick or treating with our little ones. So we'll have to figure something out. We were talking about doing it because he's like super into dinosaurs. It's so strange the things that they make kids interested in. Like he knows all about like construction equipment and now all about dinosaurs.
That's awesome.
Like, what does he think the world is?
Yeah, like does he think that those are out there? Like,
you gotta know about excavators, and you gotta know the difference between different types of triceratopses.
Oh yeah, there's oh man.
But he knows all about it.
I used to love dinosaurs. Like in first grade, I had a dinosaur club.
Yes,
like the Dino-mites, which is terrible.
Very
cool.
Oh, no way.
Complete rip off, but you know what? It was awesome.
Yeah.
At least to my first grade self.
Amazing.
But same thing. I wanted to be a paleontologist. I used to know the protoceratops and the triceratops and the, all those different ones. But now my son's like into them, but I couldn't tell you, except for like the very basic ones, I couldn't tell you what they are. So I lost it somewhere on the way.
I know way too much about dinosaurs now.
I was telling Kristen that like he knows, I mean, like I know like the history and like what happened to dinosaurs more or less, but he knows way more about dinosaurs than I do. And he's like 2.5.
Nice. So he's either going to be a contractor or a paleontologist. So
right.
Or maybe he'll build museums that house dinosaur bones. I don't know.
Yeah.
There you go.
He'll be like Chris Pratt and those Jurassic movies now.
Either way, he's going to be digging in some dirt because both of those things do that.
That's right. Yeah. So I'm seeing a common theme here.
Yeah.
No, I understand. I got 3 of them. I definitely get it. But this has been so much fun, guys. So tell me about your show. It's a great show, but tell me all about it.
Well, I mean, at this point, if your listeners aren't aware of us, We are Christmas Time in the City. My wife and I have a podcast where we talk about all things Christmas in New York City and all the other holidays as well, just to kind of bide our time towards the holidays. We talk about Christmas trees and all kinds of fun stuff. We also have a lot of fun interview episodes that we do throughout the year, so you can go back and listen to those. We have one coming up with you, so we're very excited about that. That will probably already be out by the time you listen to this. I'm not really sure. Who knows? The schedule is crazy right now. I have so much going on. It's really absurd.
I understand. Yeah.
But yeah, we have that. Also, I want to try to push people towards our YouTube channel. We have a lot of stuff planned. The both of us are going to be doing walking tours all over the city. So some will be me, some will be her. We walk around just looking for Christmas lights and having a good time and showing off our home. So
awesome.
Take that journey with us if you can.
And so on YouTube, it's also at Christmas Time in the City?
Yeah, it's everywhere on the internet as Christmas Time in the City. I think we've got it locked, except for Instagram, where it's Christmas Time in the City podcast, because there's a Christmas Instagram account that's been like not active for like 2 years. It's just kind of holding on to that. And it's so frustrating. I don't even really want the account, but like knowing that it's there and they aren't using it really bugs me.
Yeah, at least do some fun with it, you know.
Yeah, I totally get it. You know what though? I'm like terrified of the trivia portion. The quiz portion of the interview. I'm totally gonna tank it. I know. I have a feeling it's gonna be awful.
I'm gonna do my best. I've got some good ones. I think for you. I try to make sure that they're all kind of at least leaning towards people's strengths.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, even if you don't have any idea about New York City, or like we did one with Art where he doesn't really know anything. We did one with Dwayne where he lives in their side of the world, so he has absolutely no idea about, and he did pretty well, honestly. So
wow.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I guess
and don't feel bad if you get them wrong. I wouldn't know them if Kris didn't do the research for me. Nice. So like, don't sweat it. It's just fun to learn the new facts, and that's basically what I'm gonna
have to cram with my brother real quick, before.
Right.
Like, hey, David, tell me everything about New York and New York Christmas.
Yeah. It's a fun thing for people to listen to, and also, I mean, at the end of the day, we're presenting information to people that are listening. So if they're on vacation or they're ever there, and they can be like, "Oh, I heard this on this podcast about how many trees are in Central Park," and it's like, well, otherwise, you would never have known that. So if we're presenting information in an interesting way, then that's all we can hope for, is that people kind of take it for what it is.
Yeah. It's great. Your Home Alone 2 episode is still one of my favorite episodes of like just any Christmas podcast. Oh, yeah. I love it. It was great.
And it's condensed. It's only 8 minutes long. So if you listen to it at twice the speed, you can finish it in 4 minutes, and you can hear how ridiculous that night was for Kevin McAllister. The whole situation is crazy. He would not have survived.
Poor guy. But I don't know, those sticky bandits were they weren't the best criminals, so he might
he could, but
I don't know if that would have taken him down. I think just the tough streets of New York probably would have gotten him.
I think if anything it would have been that or just like exhaustion.
I would have liked to have seen I would have liked to have seen a part where the sticky bandits encounter like real like New York like robbers,
like they get mugged.
Because like the sticky bandits are like suburban Chicago guys, like they're nothing. But then you go to New York and you're like, these guys are like rough and tumble, and you're like, I'd like to see that kind of interaction.
I'm down for that. Let's do it. Let's make it happen.
That's what the reboot should have been. It should have just been like the sticky Marvin bandits getting just wrecked
by real criminals and not children.
The sticky bandits versus the city. Hey, there's de-aging technology now, and they're still alive. Let's get this done. Let's get it made
before it's too late.
Yeah. Oh man, Kris, this has been it's been so much fun. So thank you again for coming on.
Thanks for having us. This was
always
really
fun talking with y'all. And I'm going to end it by saying happy Halloween, Christine. Hey, Bull, happy Halloween. So check us out on our social media pages, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And if you're feeling like Harry preparing for his Halloween party, leave us a review on iTunes. Not only does it help us reach more people, but you also get a free sticker. Now, don't forget to check out our bonus episodes and our merch shop on tpublic.com. Later, dudes.
Hi, I'm Kris.
And I'm Kris. We're a married couple living in New York City. If you're listening to this podcast, you probably love Christmas just as much as we do.
In our podcast, Christmas Time in the City, we talk about the history and traditions of the holidays in New York City. The Rockefeller Center Christmas tree, caroling in Washington Square Park, New Year's Eve in Times Square, the classic Christmas movies filmed here, we cover it all.
In Listener Mail, we answer questions from listeners like you that may be planning a trip or maybe just curious about us.
And in Christmas Confidential, we read anonymous listener-submitted Christmas confessions to help people finally get their deepest Yuletide secrets off their chest.
So subscribe now wherever you listen to podcasts, and we'll talk to you soon.
Unless you don't want to, then just forget about it.
Really?
What, too much?
No, it's fine.